Should I say something? Are we live yet?
You probably should do, yeah.
Oh, fantastic! This is, I mean, this is a new record for the worst intro. I thought 2 weeks ago was rubbish, but you are listening to the somehow award-nominated To Hull and Back podcast, sponsored by Old Zoological Bar and Kingfisher. I'm your fantastic professional host, Nathaniel Wisso. This is the 100th episode, so along with Will and Ant, our panel members, we have special guests, Old Grandpa Joe, Sam from the Tigers Newsroom, who are also nominated for the Football Content Awards this year, and we have Marcus of TheHullBoy. So, three newcomers. How are you tonight?
Feeling good.
Yeah,
good.
Really. Thank you for having me on.
Probably feeling a bit better than I am at the moment, but let's just launch straight into it. Get past the intro.
How have we got to 100 episodes, really?
It's more
as well. It's 100 main episodes. It's probably about 120 odd.
I can't believe you let me host some, episodes just by myself. I need someone here to, supervise me.
It's that comedic value that adds that award-winning bit to it. That's what's winning us the content.
But we haven't won any. Now he's muted himself.
And now he's muted himself. This is going brilliant.
Am I unmuted? 5 minutes I think that might have actually just been when I muted myself for the intro a minute and a half ago. That my computer is that slow. So I'll just ask someone a question. Will, thoughts on the Southampton game? Just take the baton away from me.
It was good performance in the first half. Classic 20 minutes in, going behind. And then for the first half of the second half, another positive bit of football, but wasting chance after chance after chance. And then at the end, for the last 20 minutes, we decided to stop playing football and let them win it.
I'd like to say I agree with your point there, but the intro music keeps playing in my head, so I can't hear a word you're saying. So, Ant, I'm just going to go to you next.
Yeah, I echo what Will says. First half I thought was really promising. I mean, this is a side that, similar to Leeds and Leicester, have got Premier League players listed throughout. It's a team that's going to be very pass-based for the rest of the season. I was expecting quite a boring pass fest. We didn't get that. We got quite an entertaining end-to-end game, I thought. What impressed me was the balance of having two natural wingers on each side. Lakilo and Philogene, I thought, gave us good options in terms of width. But then, like Will said, towards the last 20 minutes or so, I think we were just tired. And Southampton do what Southampton do best, kept possession, kept control of the game, and then a couple of defensive lapses for both of their goals, and we've lost it in the last 9 seconds. I think that's what will be most frustrating for Rossi, will be that you couldn't have seen it out for the last 20 seconds or so. You've lost the game literally at the death, and considering the amount of chances we had as well, it's really disappointing. So definitely need to finish on our work on our finishing. And the results should come, because our home form's been really, really poor this season.
Yeah, Marcus, tell us a little bit about how you saw the game, and did you enjoy it, watching two possession-based teams go at each other?
Well, to be honest, to watch it was a fantastic game, and I don't think the atmosphere was that good because everyone was concentrating on watching it. I think the problem is us taking chances, because we've had so many opportunities in that few last home games, but for some reason we're taking that extra touch or the extra pass, whereas I think there was a chance where Lakilo had it one-on-one, Delap had it one-on-one, and we should have buried it.
Or there was even one chance where Philogene sort of accidentally blocked a shot that was maybe going in. So, Sam, what were your thoughts on the Southampton game? Is it disappointing to lose it so late? Because a point would have been pretty decent against a relegated team.
Yeah, I was gutted. I was actually going to stall out if I had have gone to say bye to Marcus. I was gutted. Like Marcus said, we're just not taking our chances, and it's cost us. Mm-hmm. It's not a good way to end, really.
No. Joe, should we consider? Was it a bit too early to think about a certain Colombian striker that we actually have at the club, and maybe what we could do with him in January?
You pose a brilliant question there. You pose an absolutely
Thank
fantastic
you.
question there. The answer is yes and no for me, because I think there's a reason Oscar went, and that is, to me, because he doesn't really fit Rossini's system. But on the flip side of that, I look back to the Rotherham home game last season, where on so many occasions the ball was just it was like pinball in the Rotherham penalty area. And I thought, chances are, if we've got Oscar Estupiñán, who was injured at the time, on that pitch, with his eye for goal and his ability as a poacher, chances are that ball falls to him in the penalty area at least once. And at that point, Oscar in the penalty area, you back him against anyone. But in terms of fitting the system and stuff like that, I think Delap and Connolly are better suited to it. But I think an alternative to the two of them, because I thought when both Delap and Connolly were starting, the bench was quite weak in terms of bringing on a goal scorer. Yes, we had, players like Cynic, Lakilo, etc. on there. But there's no striker to bring off the bench when we've got both Delap and Connolly on the pitch to change a game.
Yeah.
And what stood out to me yesterday was there's a clip that's gone viral a little bit around the Hull City cesspits of Twitter. And it's of Philogene charging forward about 15, 20 minutes to go in the game, chasing a winner. He beats Ryan Manning, but there's no one up there with him. Connolly's just jogging, two fans walking up there. He's got no one there with him. And he has to sort of stop and sort of signal to players to get forward and help him.
He literally shrugs at one point, doesn't he?
It was mad how few people were going forward at times.
And it's kind of clear how much better he is as a forward player or talented that compared to the rest of the team, that he, in that moment, he was literally a one-man team, essentially, for about 20 seconds.
And I think in terms of creating chances, we're not far off. We're making opportunities. I thought at times in the first half yesterday, the game passed Twine by a little bit. But also, at times later in the half, the movement off the ball I picked up on, it created some nice space for all the players. And I thought our changes didn't impact the game at all. Southampton, I think, down their right-hand side had it far too easy. The fact Vinagre, both goals came from down his side. And I think that doesn't really bode well. And I think it's interesting how we've signed... Well, we've loaned Brandon Fleming out. We've signed a left-back from Brighton, James Furlong, who was very, very highly rated there. Signed a new contract in this summer, just gone, or the one before. And he hasn't played yet. He's favoured Greaves, he's favoured Coyle, he's favoured Christie. But I think the Birmingham game is a good chance to throw him in, because we're coming off the back of a defeat.
Yeah.
Coming off the back of 2 defeats in 3. And the goals we've conceded in those, you can pick holes in quite a lot of them. So, and Rossini said about Furlong pre-Millwall, you've got to pick the right time to give young players debuts. And I think Birmingham, coming in under Wayne Rooney, they'll be trying to adjust to his ways. And I think they'll be a weaker team with Rooney in charge than they would have been had we played them under John Eustace. So I think...
Definitely. It's such a weird move, that.
Really weird move. I think if I'm Rossini, I took James Furlong in for his debut.
Yeah, well, I agree that left back we haven't been great. What I'd suggest to help the defence is, for the 3rd season in a row, around this stage of the season, bring in Sean McLaughlin, and we'll probably improve defensively. So, and why do you think he's not playing? Because maybe Greaves at left back would give us that solidity.
I can't remember if it was actually confirmed by Rossi himself, but I know he said that he wanted to have one-on-one chats with every player in the summer to let them know, obviously, what the plans were, everything like that. And I think Greaves has turned around and said, I want to play in my natural position as a centre-half. Unfortunately for Maka, that means that he's playing ahead of him. Greaves is good in that left-back position. I think he'd have still struggled against Southampton because they were very quick. I just think, obviously, positioning wise, he's a lot better. Vinagre is just so exposed all the time. I think it worked with Vinagre when you had Slater above him because he kind of covered for him. But without Slater and having Philogene above him, who does actually track back and do a lot of defensive graft, it was just too easy to get him behind on that side. And I just think that I can imagine he's probably on quite high wages. I think the buyout's something like 15 million in summer. I can't see a 15 million pound player there for me at all. I can't see a 3 million pound player there. Because we said it at the game. You can kind of forgive his defensive lapses if he was any good going forwards, and he was just so wasteful in
always crosses.
Like the decision making of his in the final third was atrocious. Like he got into really good positions numerous times in the game, and then would choose the wrong cross every single time. Like on the law of average, one of those is going to be a decent cross, and he didn't even manage that. Like he drilled it high when he should have put it low, and vice versa. And it was just confusing. And I just think that left back is still a problem position for us.
Wasn't there a cross where he put it in and it went? There were a load of bodies in the middle, and he managed to get it pinpoint exactly right through the middle of every single one of them, dividing the box into two in terms of bodies, more or less.
Yeah, and there was one time he even shot at the keeper from pretty much the throw-in line, and you just think, what are you doing? It's just, I was saying that I think when you look back at it, obviously with hindsight, at the time, Ruben Vinagre is a player that you're going to be like 100%, yeah, let's sign him. But George Cox just looked twice the player he did, and it's a shame that we didn't go in for him. Obviously, looking back at it now, like we say, hindsight's a good thing, but real shame that we probably can't go back in from Jar. I think he's got a new club, but left back's definitely try and sort in January.
Yeah, he looked a little bit better. Will, just to go back a bit with the ruthlessness, is it anything to do with the system, or is it just that with some young players maybe up front lacking a bit of confidence?
I don't think it is to do with the system, because there was a few chances that we had and we just didn't put them away. Like there was a couple of times where Delap managed to get through on goal and took too many touches to have a shot. And you'd think that someone who was having such a good international break scored and got a couple of assists would, have a bit more confidence and would take it on in front of goal. But we seem to want to almost walk it in at times when we just need to have a go. And I think that's the issue. It's just the players on the pitch seem to want to stick to like walking it in to a point that they're ignoring actual other chances that are there.
Yeah, we're like prime Arsenal in 2007 or something, or 12, when they were rubbish and just had to walk it in. No end product, yeah. Marcus, what did you think about the substitutes? Because I saw some people talk about that they were the wrong ones, but Tufan on and that sort of thing, Connolly on, seemed pretty obvious. So where are you with Vecini and his substitutions at the moment?
Well, I think the substitutions didn't really help, but obviously Jason Lakila had to be taken off, and I think that's gutting, because our attack yesterday is... Yeah. Well, I think the thing is our attack is the best we've had for years, and that's the truth. When are we going to get another Liam Delap on loan? Philogene, he's like an artist up front. And so that's completely on a tangent from your question, sorry. The subs...
what it's all about, Marcus.
Yeah, no. It's strange, really. I think Ozan coming back from an injury, it's going to take time for him to settle back into the squad, but I think he has to be starting soon. I think more players should be on the bench is Harry Vaughan and James Furlong for me. I think we all can agree we want him to do well, but how long until maybe January or probably the summer where he's going to go away from the club? And players like Harry Vaughan and James Furlong, who were here for a long time, I'd love to see them on the pitch. But it's Liam Rosenior. I love Liam Rosenior. I think a lot of people are saying things on Twitter, but for me, he's a fantastic manager, and we just need to give him time. Again, another tangent. I don't know what I'm on about at this point.
It's relevant. I mean, the thing is, it's relevant because at the end of the day, Rosenior is getting stick for the players' decision making, and that's not his fault. The system is clearly working because we're creating the chances. I'd be more worried if we were losing games and drawing games, but not getting into these positions where we are. It's just that the players themselves are obviously, I don't know whether getting confused, they're lacking the confidence, or they're just thinking, I want to do one more pass. I want to provide for my teammate rather than take it on himself. Because for me, like Delap, he's got an absolute cannon of a right foot. And he just never uses it. He's a striker, and you're just thinking, just shoot. He's just throwing goal, and he tries to take it around the keeper and do a Man City. I suppose that's where he plays.
I do find it hilarious that people are criticising the substitutions for the point of, so you're saying you wouldn't have brought on Ozan at about an hour in, and you wouldn't have brought on Connolly, and you wouldn't have... Christie wasn't having the greatest game. He was on a booking, and he was getting beaten quite a few times, so I understand just replacing him with Coyle. Those, at the time, seemed like sensible substitutions, and people are just saying now in hindsight, oh, there were poor substitutions. Like, they wouldn't have made some of those changes anyway.
The subs were right. It was just the shape needed changing. We did like for like when it was clear that at the time, the system we were playing wasn't working, so we needed to try and shift it. I'd have gone 3-5-2 and done what he usually does with putting Coyle at the back alongside Greaves and Jones, and then let the wingers be the wing backs and try and overload the midfield, because I mean, again, with the subs, Connolly and Tufan, when they came on, they were just strangely absent. I don't know what it was, but they just seemed... I mean, the ball bounced off Connolly. Connolly, the first thing he did was he gave the ball away and then gave a foul away. And then the next 2 times he touched the ball, he gave it away instantly. And then Tufan was basically just walking about. I don't know if he was just not match fit at all and shouldn't have been anywhere near the sub bench, but he just did.
You should know, man. You should know why he was doing that.
Yeah, I thought we'd seen the end of that one.
Well, it's the 100th episode, so we've got to bring back all these cliches.
All that's missing is the long one, innit? But
you can get a mention. You can get a mention if you want.
Oh
yeah.
But the subs were right. It's just we needed to change the shape for me.
Can I just jump in with, before the game, Marcus will know Bill.
Yeah.
Well, me and Bill, an older bloke who goes early, we had a chat to Harry Vaughan. Marcus and I get on quite well with Harry. First of all, I saw a Harry Vaughan fan page-ish kind of TikTok a few weeks ago, and he was loving that someone said out of backside and a woman's chest or personality, they'd prefer Harry Vaughan. So he found that.
What?
I know, tangent. But anyway, back to the point. Harry told Bill that he asked to play in the under-21s game against Barnsley on Tuesday, sorry, because he's been out for a while, getting some match minutes. He hasn't started a game since the opening day. And Rosenior said, no, we need you fit for games. But I don't quite see how that works when he hasn't come off the bench since Blackburn, off the top of my head.
He's been injured, hasn't he?
He has been injured, very true. But I thought that it was an international break. Surely that would be a good means of giving players like Vaughan, who've been absent, Doherty, some minutes. Sinek wasn't on international duty. I was going to say Fairlong, but he was out on international, so he was still playing games regardless. But I thought that was interesting how Harry, who hasn't been picked for a few weeks, be it injury related or be it just selection, it was the latter yesterday, asked to play in this game to get him to keep himself sharp, and Rosenior just flat out refused.
I'm surprised Sinek didn't play.
The way that Rosenior worded it in the post-match press conference suggested that Vaughan's probably going to be involved against Birmingham. So I'm wondering if that had an effect on his thinking. But like you say, it's last week. It's Thursday to Wednesday.
Sam, I think with Rosenior, I don't know whether up to 46 games under him now, probably around 35, 40 now. And we're probably roughly top or 10th-ish. So what are your thoughts on him so far? And are you going to give him a bit more time than some people are giving him on Twitter?
I mean, I like him. I think what he's done since coming in has been, it's a new. We've just looked so much better than previous managers, and I do like him. I think he's good, and I like what he's doing with the club and how he's shaping us up and how we just look. I think we should give him a chance. So obviously the results aren't coming in they're not great at the moment, but I do think that I do think we should give him a chance to, just to see what happens, really.
Yeah, I think the key is just finding those goals, because same with last season, there's been too many draws. But I mean, I know we lost to Reading last year, but then there was Middlesbrough, there was Burnley, and then this year it's been Southampton, Norwich, and Ipswich, and they're all very good teams, quite near the top, or perhaps will be. So maybe just with who we've lost to, means we're a difficult side to beat, and that shows that maybe some people have been overreacting a little bit. I'll just open that to whoever wants to go on that, because I think we're doing quite well.
Yeah,
Two of the bosses were in the last of the game pretty much as well. Those last three. The idea that Rossignol, people are it's utterly stupid at this point to suggest Rossignol's head. I find, because are people forgetting how poor we were just over a year ago?
Rubbish. Complete rubbish, aren't we? But, I mean, we're pretty much where everyone else is in the league. There were some teams like Leicester and Ipswich who were right at the top, who are going to have good seasons. But so long as we're probably where we are until the last 10 games, or after January, when we might bring in, a striker or a defensive midfielder if we need them, that's roughly where we need to be. And a lot of people
the biggest positive at the minute is the fact that we're so very near where we want to be as a team in terms of turning draws and wins and that.
We've not lost any ground, have we?
Something off third. So it just shows that eventually, when it clicks, hopefully it does, that we'll be up there and thereabouts. It's just that, obviously, I mean, you can understand people's frustrations. I mean, since he's come in, draw rate, I think his draw percentage as a manager of us is something like 45%. So he's almost drawn half of the games he's been manager of. But
it's better than losing half.
Those are defeats. Let's be honest. So it's one of those where I don't think calling for his head this soon into the season is a very wise thing to do. But it is okay to sort of question.
I mean,
how are we going to turn these draws into wins? Because I mean, the home form is what is it, 7 points from 18 or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
2 wins in the last 9 overall. So it's starting to slack off a bit. But I do think we're missing Slater. We did miss Tufan, obviously, when he started the season fit, and it's just another case of injuries have derailed us again. But I think he'll know the issues that we've got at the minute, especially when it comes January. I think left back needs sorting. And possibly a different kind of striker, like we say, because I think Oscar buries at least 1 or 2 of those chances, which is the thing. Like we say, he don't fit the system. He don't fit the system that Rossignol wants to play. He probably won't hold the ball up as good as any of the strikers we've got. But if you give him a chance, he scores it, and that was the kind of striker we needed yesterday. So it's just one of those, isn't it?
If our home form and away form was flipped, and we had won 3 at home and only lost 1 away, drawn 4 and won 1 drawn 4 away, people would not be acting like they are, some people.
Yeah. It's just frustrating when you go to the home games, like I only go to the home games, and you don't see us win.
If the home form was good and the away form was, if you flip them, I bet you there would still be criticism, and rightly so, for some of the performances, but there wouldn't be people calling for his head.
Yeah. Well, I've got a very sort of...
Also on that, I wonder, from my memory, most people at the start of the season predicted us to finish 8th to 12th, let's say, I'd say. A lot of people predicted us to finish in that range. And now they're acting like they all, we should be in the top 5, and we're appalled. Where did that sudden change in expectation come from?
Yeah. I guess Philogene been so good, he's been carrying our hopes. This is kind of a difficult question, but we've been talking about these strikers fitting the system. If these, Connolly and Delap fit the system and Twine and all that, how come we can't beat anyone at home and we still think we could get Oscar in, Because at least he scored. Explain that. Anyone?
Must be the kit. I mean, last year, same the year before that, we couldn't win when we were in the home kit, so I say... get the blue kit on and what happens there.
Shot the away or amber kit on.
Yeah, we'd be better. We'd be better than that.
No, yeah. I think our home form is poor. A lot of people try and stay positive, saying it's only 1 loss, but we've only had 1 win, I suppose. But It's a strange
Sheffield Wednesday.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's strange that we've got such a good squad on paper. If you'd have told me 3 or 4 years ago, we had Seri, who was linked to Barcelona, Philogene, if you'd explain how good he was, and players like Tyler Morton, who's under the books of Liverpool. You know, we should be higher up, but I'm trying to stay positive. I mean, we're only one win off playoffs, aren't we, at the end of the day? And everyone's, arging and barging on Twitter, but we have to stay positive. I mean, I didn't expect us to get playoffs. I mean, mid-table for me is good to build ourselves, make us an established high-end championship club and see from there. Because if we get promoted this season, I think we can all agree we do a
United.
Yeah, it just wouldn't end up how we want to be. I'd rather be an established championship club, and then if we do get promoted, try and be a team to stay up sort of thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I definitely agree with that. Does anyone else have anything to mention about the Southampton game? Maybe we can end on a positive, because, it's not nice to lose in the last minute again. Any positives from the Southampton game, anyone? No. Delap got his first goal in front of the home crowd.
Yes, he did.
That's good. Twine was involved in a goal, and he could have had an assist. I mean, it bounced off Philogene, but that I thought it's very rare. I think the last few goals we've scored, maybe 6 or so, both at Millwall, and Plymouth was sort of a mistake, and then all of them at Stoke were sort of long balls. We've not actually scored a goal playing out from the back for a while, so it's actually nice to see the system Rossini so loves.
The third one at Stoke was.
Yeah, but that was a massive deflection, wasn't it? So I guess a bit of the luck, but yeah, you're quite right.
Leicester still claimed it though, didn't he?
Yeah, quite right. Quite right.
My positive would be that I'm turning into a huge fanboy for Tyler Morton. I just think he's fantastic. I think he's been the kind of midfielder we've been after for a long time. I just think going forwards and possession-wise, I think what Seri does is he likes to drop deep and he likes to do the link-up play to get us out of defence, whereas he's quite reluctant to play those risky forward balls or fast enough to get it out wide to really get us on the counter. Whereas Morton, when he's on the ball, his first thought is, where am I going? And it's forwards. He wants to get it out wide as quick as he can, or to somebody's Delap's feet up front. And it's that fast, progressive sort of passing that we want. And I think him alongside Seri's working really well, which when you think about it, it shouldn't, because they're two possession kind of players, but Seri's more of a sit deep, whereas Morton likes to push on. So they complement each other perfectly. It kind of makes the perfect midfield for us sitting. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Morton. I think he's going to be really good for us this season.
We sort of need a 12th player, don't we, to get Seri, Morton, Slater, and one of Tufan, Twine, or Traore all in midfield at once.
Yeah. Well, I know a certain player that's on loan at Millwall that can basically play every position.
No.
Zian Fleming.
Up now.
Yeah, just sign him in January. Well, I think
I will back you up in the final. I do quite like Ryan Longman. I think
you can come back on.
Stick while he was here.
Great.
He's a sound bloke as well. He's a very sound bloke. Last time I saw Ryan, me and Marcus were talking to him about his upcoming holiday in Greece.
I don't like how he snaked Rossini though in an interview when he joined Millwall, saying he's here.
Yeah.
He's at the club not to play round the back football. I mean, he's coming back next season, and I think
I don't think he is.
Well, he will be for some time, but
I think there'll be a conversation, and that'll be it.
To be fair, though, we could get some good money for him. I think that needs to be a positive. I don't know how much we signed him for, but we'll definitely make some profit for him.
Yeah.
How long's he got on his contract?
He'll probably have this season and an extension.
Probably is.
A contract at the end of next season plus an extension.
Yeah. Okay. So not a huge amount, but not too little either. Well, as it's the 100th episode, I think we can move on from Southampton. I think it's just pertinent not only to reflect on how far we've come as a podcast ourselves, but how far the club has come. And we've had a few managers, over the course of that 100 episodes. Can anyone guess? Of course, Will and Ant will probably be able to remember, but what was the game that they would have been discussing in the first episode? And I'll let you in a bit talk about, or was it Will, where you were recording the first episode from?
I don't even know. I'm not going to mention that again, are we?
Oh, I think it's the 100th episode, so we've got to do it. So, Marcus, Sam, Joe, do you want to have a guess at what the game was in the League One season?
Can I have a look at the fixture list?
Well, that would be cheating, wouldn't it? Really? I just want a random guess.
It was December, if that helps. I believe. I think it was December, wasn't it?
It was
the 6th. I think there was a game on the 5th, and the first ever episode was the 6th of December.
Fair, I can't remember.
Now you've told me that information, I won't look at the fixture list.
It was a 1-1 draw.
I know what it was, but I'm a sadder to know that.
It was an away 1-1 draw.
Yeah.
It
was the only game that season that had fans at it.
Right, Joe.
That.
It was a lovely goal from Greg Doherty to equalise on the volley. Yeah, so Sam, I'll come to you. We still have to remember that, of course, things could have been very different, and Ajahn has come in and brought a whole lot of positivity to the club. So do you want to just say a few words on, where we've come in those sort of 3 years, or almost 3 years?
Yeah, obviously we've come a long way since back then. It was obviously it was a bad time before, and just I think everything he's done since coming in has been just positive, and I can't really, it's just great, really. Yeah, I don't really know how to. It's just been a positive swing of atmosphere, and just to feel like we've got the club back.
Yeah, Marcus, can you believe that now, rather than thinking about whether we were going to get promoted back to the Championship, we're sort of frustrated we're not in the playoffs in the Championship?
Nah, it's genuinely crazy, to be honest, and it's mad that people still complaining on Twitter after things that have happened years ago, and we're complaining losing to Southampton. Well, 3 or 4 years ago, that score could have been in double figures, so you have to stay positive. Ajahn is brilliant. I don't care what anybody says. What he's done for the club is something you dream of. We found the right person who has the right morals around the club, and I genuinely think that our future is in a safe hands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, quite right. Will and Ant, do you want to talk about that first episode for a bit?
I remember completely overthinking everything that I wanted to say. I think if it had been video, we'd have never done it.
Chance.
Yeah, but back then it was literally on Anchor. I think it's rebranded now.
It's part of Spotify now.
Yeah, so it was literally just like a phone call, but we didn't really think out equipment or anything like that. We literally just did it off phones, and Will literally did it off his phone on little earbuds, and had to go out to his car to record it in like the middle of the night as well. So it must have been freezing, but like I said,
it was freezing cold.
But it's mad to think about it when you look back at that episode and you look like obviously where how many episodes we've done it and where we've come and attending award ceremonies like the FCA's. It's going to be great that we've got another City content creator there this year, because obviously we were on a table full of Birmingham City representatives last season, which was a good thing because it was free beer on the table and none of them were allowed to drink. So Will had it all.
Oh, it was delightful.
But it'd be nice if they could sit us on the same table this year, obviously with the Tigers Newsroom, and I assume both Marcus and Sam, you're going.
Yeah.
It'd be great. I mean, you two, it's your first time, so you'll absolutely be astounded with it. I just think it's absolutely amazing. And like we say, when you look back at that episode and how me, Will, and Joel thought that we'd probably do 2 or 3 episodes max because no one would listen to us, and then to where we are now, it's pretty crazy. I think we've been streamed in 60 odd different countries and over 35,000 views or something like that. So yeah, it's a bit mad.
Not that we're counting.
I mean, it's actually, it'll be more than that, because we obviously moved over to Aircast when we became part of the fan network. So it's I think in terms of the downloads for audio, it's like over nearly 40,000, and then obviously YouTube's separate, so I can't bother to add it all together. But it's a lot, which is a good thing because we never thought we'd have a lot. So here we are.
Alex has said that the podcast has come so far. Ant now plays for the club.
Yeah, look, see, exactly. It gives you such phenomenal opportunities, and
This kind of stuff
probably,
opens big doors.
I'll probably start getting my fitness up and work harder. Yeah.
Ozan Tufan and Ryan Woods sat here talking about it all.
Will, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I need to go back and listen to that first episode to see how appalling it is.
I listened to the first 10 seconds and I switched off. That was just because I had to come up in and do this, to be fair. But it's, I just thought it sounded funny like that. I think, Joe, this will be a question for you. Lucas wants to ask about Jaden Chibanga. I know you covered I don't know if you go down that far, but he's shining for the under-18s. So any thoughts on him before we move on to Birmingham?
We need to talk more about the youth side. I think it's something we need to have a look at.
This is Lucas has put this question in because I've had a run with him in the past, but we won't talk about that. I can explain that after the stream regarding stuff.
I feel like Marcus knows.
Marcus knows full well what it is. But in terms of the academy, I do some of the writing for the TheHullBoy website, and the academy and the under-21s is something I take great pride in it, and it's an area of the club that is covered far too little. And I go to every home game, give or take the odd one or two, and I think if I can do my bit to push these lads, because they're all the majority of them are incredible lads. Raj Pallet, who's just come in, he's a top lad. Harry Vaughan, who came through, was great. Ollie Green, he's a sound fella.
Jimmy Sims.
They're all Jimmy Sims. They're all good players in their own right, and they're the future of the football club. So I think us giving them the exposure where other mainstream sources won't is it's something I really want to push.
Mm-hmm. But what about Jaden Chibanga?
I'll tell you what.
I don't think he's real.
He's a very good attacker, very skillful, and he will be in the under-21s. He's playing a few games.
Cool.
I think he's a quality player. I mean, I don't know about what he's done. I've seen highlights, and I know if he's 17, if he's 17 and he's playing for the under-21s, the academy managers must think he's special, and he's on a road to a pro deal as well. So there you go.
Interesting. I don't really know what's going on, so I think we should move on to the next match. So should be a difficult game. It will be interesting with Rossini going up against Wayne Rooney, who used to be his boss at Derby. So I'll just go around all of us. Will, how do you think it's going to go against Birmingham on Wednesday? Is it an opportunity to get 3 points?
Oh, definitely it's an opportunity to get 3 points. It's going to be interesting because under John Eustace, I would have said this game would have been a tricky one because they were in decent form. And under Rooney, who hasn't got the best track record, obviously when he was at Derby, he did all right with Derby, but he couldn't do much to stop him from getting relegated. He was kind of had his hands tied behind his back. And I don't know if it's true, but I've heard a few things that have said that Rossini and the other coaching staff there were kind of the actual ones who were doing a lot of the work behind the scenes, and Rooney was kind of just the face of it. So it'll be interesting to see. I didn't see them against any of their stuff against Middlesbrough, but I saw statistically like Middlesbrough dominated the game. They looked in a good side, but Middlesbrough have bounced back from their poor start. Yeah. But I think it'll be a tricky game. But I think all games away should really relatively tricky games. But I think this loss will make the team sort of give them a bit of fire to correct it. And I think we're playing them at a good time where Rooney hasn't had a chance to fully implement whatever tactics he has.
Yeah, I think that if you sack a manager when they were doing well, the team's more likely to be like, well, why'd you do that? Rather than motivated by the new manager, possibly. Although, of course, you don't think it's going to be a tricky game. You think we're going to win 3-0.
I don't think we're going to win 3-0. We are going to win 3-0.
Okay. All right. Well, Ant, hopefully a sensible answer out of you then.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to a couple of Birmingham fans on it online, and they were saying that the John Eustace thing, as much as it surprised the rest of the league, didn't surprise the Birmingham fans. So yes, they were in the top 6, but the performances were questionable, and they kind of got through games luckily. So it sounds to me like it was. I think our comparison would be the good start we had under Arveladze, where we were doing really well in the league, but you were looking at the performances and going, something's not quite right. And that was the same with Eustace. And they signed a lot of attacking players in the summer. Players like Ethan Laird at right back, that's really good going forwards, and they've not really played in an attacking way to get the best out of them. I mean, you would argue that obviously results are the main point and they are in the top 6. So obviously it's harsh that way. But they believe Rooney's going to be the man to get that attacking football that they all want to see. And obviously he's Tom Brady's best mate and he's involved in the hierarchy. So it's just one of those where they've done it for that reason, I'd imagine. And it seems a bit more profitable in terms of, when Rooney's the manager of the club, it gets him a bit more interest nationally and all that kind of stuff. But like you say, he's not had much time to do what he wants with that team. I think Birmingham are probably above where they will end up this season. And for me, like you say, we're looking at a response now. It's no win in the last 4. So we need to be going to Birmingham. And I hope that with them being at home, Rooney's first home game, they're going to hopefully try and go for the win, which obviously we know we're best at. We're at our best when that happens, and we can hit them on the counter and get that win and sort of get that momentum back that we'd lost. So I'm going to go with the 1-0 City, second clean sheet of the season.
I'm assuming you mean Hull City.
Yeah, obviously.
Joe, do you agree that this is a good time to play Birmingham? Because it could go either way.
I wholeheartedly agree that this is a good time to play Birmingham. Well, I very rarely do midweek away games, but I'm going to this one and I've got a love that, Lucas. And I very rarely do these games, and I've got to be up for a meeting at 8:35 the next morning, so that's not going to be fun. A meeting which I didn't know about until last week, so that's fun, but it'll be fine. I hope I go into that meeting tired but smiling after a win, and I think this is the best time to play Birmingham. Middlesbrough had a poor start and saw them off yesterday, and I think we can, despite a recent negative run of results, I think we can get through them. I'm not sure that Alex, come on.
He's asked if he's meeting Jaden Chibanga for audio listeners.
Oh, that hasn't thrown me off at all, has it?
You're going to have to explain this at some point.
I will explain this at some point,
Yes.
and I'll explain it in confidence of it not being recorded, because for other people involved, I don't want to be airing dirty laundry in public. But
but we'll get the clicks.
Anyway, you're going to go to a meeting, hopefully, with a positive victory
with a positive but tired face, and I think we will be able to get past Birmingham and return to winning ways. Hopefully, James Furlong plays, because I'm taking credit for that. I also predicted Lakilo to start, so that was my idea. I'm claiming that.
Yeah. Okay. Sam, do you think that this could be a case that if Birmingham start well, they'll be motivated under the new manager, or if we start well, maybe the fans will get sort of a bit confused with a bit cautious about the new management?
I mean, yeah, I do agree with you, but I do think it's a good time for us to play Birmingham. Obviously, what the fuck was that? Under
Just carry on. Nothing happened.
under
That's to swear. Thank God.
Wayne Rooney.
Yeah, that's the one there. Wayne Rooney. Under Wayne Rooney, it was it's probably a good time because obviously he's a new manager with the team. He's still learning the team, so I do think we can maybe get a result out of that, and I do hope we can. Yeah,
well, I hope so too. Marcus, thoughts and little prediction, perhaps?
Well, for me, I think this is a perfect time for Liam Rossini to prove himself against his former boss. I mean, if he wins, that'll be massive for his self-esteem as well as the players' confidence. I mean, we need a win. Birmingham last season was my favourite away day. The pyros, Oscar scoring late, the atmosphere, and I think it probably doesn't mean a lot, but with Birmingham's new stadium renovations, they haven't got as much fans in as they want. So hopefully we can bring a good atmosphere, outsing the Birmingham fans, give the players the confidence they need. And in my opinion, the players play better away because the fans aren't booing them constantly. If we're playing it round the back at home, the fans are on the backs, booing, shouting, especially the West Stand, which is close to Liam Rossini, and then it just spoils the whole game for me. Whereas away, the fans back the players. We take an early lead, sit back, and that's what I'm hoping. I'm going to go 1-0, and I think Philogene will get a goal because he's just quality. How we've got him, even if it's 5 million, that is a bargain of 5 million.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I'm going to go against what everyone has said here. I think this is probably a bad time to play Birmingham because they've just got a new manager and they lost the last game in the last minute. And if we're saying we lost in the last minute and that'll motivate us, should motivate them as well. So we haven't lost 2 games in a row under Rossini. I think that's right.
Yep.
Tiny bit concerned that record could go. I mean, Birmingham, I am surprised. Similar with Ipswich, I don't associate them with being good. So I still don't understand how they're 7th in the table, I think, because they're like the Sunderland or the Wigan or Everton now, of the Championship. They're always just about to stay up. And so they just stink up the place. I don't like Birmingham. But I think it might be kind of difficult, but I can't go with a City defeat. I think I'll predict 1-1.
Choosing violence in Nathaniel, just...
What did Birmingham do to you?
Birmingham have stayed up just the last few. Basically, similar to what they've done. It's brought up bad memories. I didn't like that they sacked Rowett years ago when they were just outside the playoffs because they thought that they could do better. And they got Zola. Then they lost about 20 games in a row because they overestimated themselves. They should have been happy with 8th because they're a rubbish club, and they've done the same.
But Birmingham's the home of Brum, the greatest car that ever existed.
But they're in the shadow of Aston Villa, Tin Pot. Preston and Birmingham this week. The next 2 games we're playing, Preston and Birmingham, hate them both. Dull clubs. Sorry. I'm usually quite
You'll never
nice.
be on another Gabe Sutton show ever again.
Well, yeah, but I can talk about the rest of the Championship with him, so that's fine. But
avoid the whole entire concept of Birmingham.
Yeah,
How dare you slag off Noddy Holder?
Sorry, I'm just not into Birmingham really. So we should be putting teams like this to the sword. I'm going to say 5-0.
So you said that thing being wild, people being negative. I don't know. We might struggle against this one. New manager got 5-0.
Look. Sometimes people can just. Sometimes on podcasts, people can just be controversial for the sake of it. But I seriously think that if we don't be beating teams like Birmingham, Rossini should go.
The 5-0 Birmingham prediction sounds like the thing that comes out of Marcus's mouth just when we're having a general conversation.
I did 8-0 when Bournemouth won.
8-0.
Yeah, do what Bournemouth did
again.
About 6 years ago. Yeah.
But if it's another 8-0, at least I'll be at this game.
Yeah, quite right. So, Will, you've gone 3-0. Ant, you say 1-0 to City?
Yeah.
Joe, did we get an official prediction from you?
You didn't, but I can give you one. 2-0
Go
City.
2-0 City. All right. Sam?
You said 2-0 City.
2-0. And then Marcus?
1-0 City.
So we've all said a win. That's
and a clean sheet.
We just lost to Southampton and we were rubbish.
But we should have
been complaining. Yeah, we're all delusional then, I guess. Yeah, Leo's agreeing with me there. 5-0. Great. Yeah, Richard thinking the Chibanga thing is a play on words. I hope not.
No, he's a real player.
Because I've said it.
Go past it. Stop bringing it up.
All right. Well, I think, Joe, you've come on the podcast before and you've done a lot of promotion, but I'll just let the three guests here at the bottom, promote their own work for a little bit.
Okay. So, first of all, we'll keep it podcast liaised for now. All the academy writing you'll see on the To Hull and Back website is written by myself, as was mentioned earlier, so you can check that out. What's the web address, and is it THAB?
Yeah. Literally the initials of the podcast. It's not ideal, but it's if you're dyslexic, you'll have a nightmare. But it's that's what it
is. So aside from that, YouTube stuff, City News, previewing, vlogs, reactions, the lot via the YouTube channel Old Grandpa Joe. It's me waffling into a camera for 10 minutes every week. What can possibly go wrong? Everything.
This is us normally waffling into a camera for an hour every week.
And the intro always goes wrong, so that's fine.
And then on Twitter, you can find me, the username displayed underneath my name there, old_grandpa Joe. If you want to go follow me on Instagram as well to see Instagram story rants about F1 and pictures of me wearing this beautiful tracksuit. That is old_grandpa.joe.
Great. Well, people who've been watching the video will see that Sam is from Tigers Newsroom, and you're on all sorts of platforms. So, you want to just tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So basically, I just sit and I make pictures, and I post them to Instagram. That is basically it. But I do graphics, and I post about news and all sorts really. If you want to find my stuff, it's at Tigers Newsroom on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. That's about it.
Awesome. And then Marcus, you're the TheHullBoy, aren't you?
I am. I don't want to plug myself too much. I'm very grateful for the opportunity to come on here. It's been a true pleasure. It's been fantastic chatting with you all.
Great. Well, I think this has been an episode with no technical difficulties at all, just completely perfect all the way through, very serious. And if you want more serious content, you can come back next week as well. Will, yeah? Do you want to add something nice to that?
I mean, it's been 100 episodes. Should we rant about Grant McCann and Malik Wilkes at some point?
Yes, I was going to...
Malik Wilkes in.
Well, Wilkes his career's really gone downhill. I think he's only played twice for Sheffield Wednesday this season, and they're the worst championship team, ever, I think, at this point.
Leo's loving this.
He has been injured.
Is Leo a Wilkes fan?
Leo is
Massively.
Head of Malik Wilkes fan club, which has 2 members.
Oh, I think that's very weird, being really sort of devoted about one bad Hull City winger. I mean, can you imagine?
Imagine.
No.
Would never been a fan.
Malik did tell me he watched my vlogs though, so he's got respect for that. That was 2 weeks after I said at Huddersfield away a couple of years ago. Malik Wilkes has been complete and utter shite this season. I don't understand why he plays 90 minutes every week.
Yeah, I do miss a good Malik Wilkes rant. I do miss what I do. He was
those were fun.
Towards the end of his City career, he was just you can understand why he's kind of just disappeared, because his attitude stinks, doesn't it? And if he's had a bad time with injuries, it's a shame, because he had such potential. But there we go. That's Malik Wilkes.
Oh, see, that actually wasn't Ant saying that live. That was just a recording of what we used to say every single week.
From the very first episode.
Yeah. Well, before this episode just devolves into complete anarchy, Will, I'm going to get you to click the exit video, and I'm going to thank everyone for commenting and liking, and we'll be back for another fantastic episode next week after an 8-0 drubbing at Birmingham for us or them, hopefully for them. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.